AOL. Thank you. Well, let's go on up on stage. Let's get Eric on stage. Is your mic on?
I think so. It's on.
Why don't you sit here?
Sit here?
Yeah, this mics will work better that way. Also, that's been an unlucky chair for me. So, nothing? Nothing happens? Absolutely nothing. What are you implying? How the heck are you?
I'm doing well.
Happy birthday.
You know what? The real birthday boy is here, actually. Steve Case, I just came back. Where is he? You gotta give him
he'll be on stage. Yeah.
You guys gotta give him a huge round of applause.
Yeah, it was Steve was what was it? It was May '85 or whatever. It's 25 years. That's how it worked out. So thanks for What is AOL?
AOL is planning on being the largest high-quality content producer for digital media.
Okay. Why did you take this job instead of the Yahoo CEO spot? Which you told me earlier you were offered as well. I'd heard that one. So. You had a variety of opportunities. Why did you choose this job?
Yeah, I think for the following three reasons. One is I am a really big believer, we're still in early days, of what's going to change on the internet. And I do believe the next phase of the internet is about content. I believe AOL has a very large set of assets in that space, and a global brand. I think it's virtually impossible to build global brands on the internet, or it takes a long time. And three is I think the AOL employee base was sick of losing. And I think that being able to go to a company where people were ready to finally really do what it takes to turn around and win, I think that was the three items that I thought of.
You found there was still fight in them? You said they were sick of losing, but it was a...
Yeah, I think there's a lot of fight in them. I think one thing that I spent really the first year doing a lot was kind of unlocking their ability to make decisions and to compete, and really to also, one of the things we announced internally a few weeks ago was this Beat the Internet, which is, the company had been measuring itself against itself, and I think one of the things we've shifted is measuring the company against the internet. And I think we hold our standards to, hey, it's not what we did last week or last month at AOL, it's what's the industry doing, what's the internet doing, and how do we beat that? And I think that's a big sea change.
That sounds more just like one of those, fun things you do inside, to create for morale boost. But is there more?
Yeah, there's a lot of rigor around it actually, which is, let's take, the obvious answers would be your product, right? Is Movie Phone the best movie site on the internet, and why or why not? Does it have the most adoption? Is it growing? That's an easy one. I think there's other things that are even more important, which is if you're in the advertising business, how your legal team behaves with contracts, how long it takes to get something done, what's the average length of time we bill a customer in. That comes down to whether or not our competitors do that better than us. So to beat the internet for us is not just a marketing phrase. It's we review every single corporate side of AOL and say, are you beating the internet? And by the way, for HR, legal, finance, those things, that's a surprise. That was a change of pace.
It was, okay. Do you find it's difficult having, you have big offices in still in Dulles, right, in New York, and you have a lot of people in, is it Mountain View or Sunnydale? It's Silicon Valley.
Yeah, Silicon Valley.
Is that difficult? You guys, it sounds like the executives are on planes all the time.
Yeah, it's not really, Brad Garlinghouse, who you know, is in Mountain View. We have a head of our Bangalore office who's really strong, a head of our Dublin office. We have, a lot of the execs are in New York. We do have some of the executives in Virginia. I would say this is my experience that I've had, prior to coming to AOL. I think there are cases where you build a company where everyone sits in one place, and that's very helpful. I think the only detriment to that is if you want to have a global company, you have to learn how to work globally and communicate globally. And before I left Google, when I was president of the Americas, I think out of my direct staff, only a few of them were with me every day. We had people in other countries, the direct staff. And I think that actually taught us how to actually scale and communicate at a global scale. So I think that's actually, there's downsides to it, but I think the upside is you have to learn how to run a company, based on global scale.
Is AOL a content company, or is AOL a dial-up business with a bunch of content experiments sort of bolted on? And what I mean, what I mean by that in a nicer way is when are you going to be able, when will you be independent of the dial-up revenue? Hopefully before it ends, but what's the plan there?
Yeah, the plan is, we have a very specific and precise strategy that we've been going after, and just so you know, and Artie Minson and I, who's the CFO, we are basically running the company on a non-access basis, which is the cash, and really even more and more starting to be the traffic, as we're starting to separate that from how we do the content properties. And I think, again, access over, if you look historically at AOL, threw off a lot of cash, and especially over the last 5 or 6 years, it gave the company the ability to, do a lot of different things. But in reality, going back to beating the internet, if you purely measure ourselves off of access cash and access traffic, that's not a true measurement of what this company needs to be in the future. So I think we've really been trying to separate all those metrics. So the answer is, we're planning on having our revenue beat the access revenue from the web services side of the business. I think we're, in the process, hammering through that right now. I don't have a date, in mind for that right now.
I bet you do have a date in mind.
Right? So, what do you
how much? What was last quarter? What was the access revenue or free cash last quarter from access revenue?
It was a majority of the free cash that we threw off. So
it's still $100
million.
And that's dropping a third a year. Like that?
Roughly, it's slowed down a little bit, but it was dropping roughly 27, 30 to 33% over the last couple of years.
Okay. Bebo, I'm going to get all the ugly stuff out of the way first.
Okay.
So, you've heard of Bebo?
I have heard of Bebo.
You bought it, not you, but your
AOL.
For how much was it? $850 million 2 years ago. 2 years, 3 years ago? 2 years ago.
2.5 years.
How's that working out?
So first, let me just make a couple comments. I wasn't at the company when they bought Bebo, and that's not to get myself off the hook. But at that time period,
would you have bought Bebo?
That's what I was going to bring up. Is I don't know whether or not I would have bought Bebo. From looking backwards, the answer is no. Right? But
with the benefit of hindsight.
With the benefit of hindsight, the answer is no. But in that time period with what was going on, maybe. I'm not saying maybe, but maybe the company bought it for good reasons. I think the issue is the execution piece of it really fell apart. And I think that, Bebo, I'll just be totally blunt about it, was a major distraction when I got to the company, because every meeting I went to, people were talking about, you spent $850 million on it, doesn't seem like it's working out that well. And I think for us, we had to make a decision about paring down our strategy to be concise and strategic about what we're doing. And candidly, Bebo did not fit in that strategic range. So we went through a lot of discussions around it, and we made our decision to go through a process to sell it or shut it down, which is the process we're in right now.
I just want to unpack one thing you said. You very early on in that answer, you said you don't know if you would have bought it or not without the benefit of hindsight. But you said something about execution. So I'm not sure. Were you saying that you think Bebo could have been a successful acquisition with perfect execution, or were you saying you just regret the time spent on trying to make it work?
I would say from the due diligence is what I've seen. I wasn't in those meetings. Obviously, from what I've seen, I think it would have been very hard to make it work right out of the gates. Even doing the deal itself would have been incredibly hard based on some of the technology issues that were at Bebo.
Yeah, and it's no longer a distraction, obviously. It's been put aside, and clearly no resources are being put on it anymore.
What we did, just to be clear about it, is over the last year, we basically tried to pare it down to just engineers working on it to try to see if we could engineer the platform back to success. And I think that's
Livestream came out of it, which is a great product.
Yep, Livestream did come out of it, which has been really helpful.
Probably not an $850 million product, but it's.
You never know. Don't give up on it.
No, you're right. I'm always looking on that. I need to be more positive. I need to look at the positive side. Thanks. I really do. It just got a little down yesterday.
What happened in this chair yesterday?
I'm a sunny disposition normally, it was something horrible happened. So.